Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jason Aponte. Man, let's go with him.
Thanks for having me, bro. It's good to be here, bro.
Yeah, no problem, man. Tell the rest of the audience who you are and what made you a fan of the 49ers.
So, as of right now, just podcaster, junior analyst, or I guess aspiring analyst. But yeah, I mean, you find me on Twitter right there below, and on my content's on YouTube. I write for 49ers Goldmine. I've written for 49ers Web Zone, and usually on Twitter, I'm usually sending off some tweets that are usually memes. But I try to keep my football thoughts for the shows, my podcasts, and things like that. So yeah, you can check me out all there.
Yeah. So the most intriguing part about you is you've been on Grant Cohen's show like weekly, and you've been like his go-to guy. It's like you know how they say Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they're like that peanut butter jelly. He's like the Shawn Michaels, you're the Triple H, man.
You know what? Someone would be offended by that, but Triple H went on to be more dominant for a long time. I think Shawn Michaels is like obviously goated, right? And I don't really know too much about wrestling, but I know that Triple H won a bunch of belts. I don't know if that means anything because it's not real. But yeah, I mean, it's good. And honestly, I'll always credit him for giving me his platform and opening me up to his fan base and everyone else. So I'll always give Grant credit for that. It's my guy.
Yeah. He was definitely generous and nice enough to come to my stream like almost last week. So, the interesting part is he could have just posted that link about him challenging Rich Eisen for that 40 time that he could have smoked him.
I would pay to see that. The caveat I would put on it is that they both have to run in suits.
Yeah, that would be the more interesting part about it. But I don't know if I guess I sent him the email of the stream, and I think he's trying to figure out some ways to put on another video on it or something, or maybe he's just keeping it as a collection.
Or maybe he'll just send it off as a quick jab. Who knows, man? That guy is working harder than anybody. He's on like 10 streams and on everybody else's shows every day. So
yeah, he's a heel, bro. Like he's somebody that can just get people to come in. That's just his caveat or something that he does best. So for you, man, you've been doing this for a while. I've seen your name pop up every now and then when I watch Grant Cohen. I see your point of views are more agreeable in some ways. Like how do you feel about Trey Lance and Jimmy G situation? You think this is just media hype and all that stuff, or you think it's just practice?
No, I don't think it's media hype. I mean, the coverage of this is going to happen all year, and the 49ers knew that when they moved up to pick 3. Especially considering, what Jimmy Garoppolo has done for this organization. Obviously, in 2019, they made a Super Bowl, can't stay on the field the next year, and they go ahead and they make this move to move up to 3 to get their guy. So that's what's going to be the discussion more than anything. I wouldn't say it's media hype. I think that it's just going to have the NFL world. The eyes are all going to be on this in training camp. The one thing that I try not to do is, because I'm not able to see training camp aside from a few clips of one day because the 49ers weren't allowing media access the entire time, it's really, really hard to make any sort of speculation based on those things. Or you can just listen to the people that were there and try to make your own assessment. I'm trying to stay away from it, but more just trying to stay on the side of, I really believe Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start week 1 to give Trey Lance a chance to get his feet wet with certain packages. And I really think that that's where they're going with it as of right now on June 21st. Again, not knowing anything, just based on what they've been saying. What seems likely? Would you pay him $27 million to be a backup? That's a lot of money. And I think that the best thing for the team would be if he plays well, obviously they're going to win games. And if he plays well, he boosts his trade value, because we know that it's eventually time, because they didn't trade up to 3 to keep Jimmy Garoppolo for a bunch of years. I mean, that's not even an opinion.
Oh, yeah, that's true, dude. Like the way you said it, dude, like, of course you want to have your guy to be the starter, but you invested a lot with this rookie. Of course, they're going to put it out there. But I think this is what it's kind of like with Patrick Mahomes was like in Kansas City with Alex Smith. Alex Smith was the perfect example. This is what we want out of Jimmy G. We don't want him to be like kind of like Alex Smith. We just want him to be able to do the job right. And then as soon as Trey Lance is ready, man, he'd be good to go. He won't have to go through those struggles like most quarterbacks do, because if you throw him in the fire, you struggle, you start to have a lot of growing pains, and it just doesn't bode well for some quarterbacks. Like you had guys like Sam Darnold who might even redeem himself in Carolina because he was throwing the fire too much. So
And that's the thing is that everybody always wanted to see what Sam Darnold would do outside of the Jets thing as well. So I mean that's a real good point. And you never really want to throw somebody out there to expose them a little bit. Here's where the part that I kind of have problems thinking about is Trey Lance hasn't played football in a long time. And I know Mahomes sat, right? But Mahomes was considered more of a project at that time. And Alex Smith didn't really have issues with being injured. He would always play and they would always win and they would go to the playoffs. So that is best case scenario because that next offseason they traded him right to Washington so he can continue to play. My fear with Trey Lance is, yes, I want you to get under the playbook. I want you to try to learn the installs as fast as you can, or as not even as fast as you can, as best you can. Take your time, get to it when you get to it. But I fear that he hasn't played in such a long time that might be a little bit of a bad thing for him. But at the same time, I still believe that that's what they're going to do. So I just think that they're going to sprinkle him in the way that you saw Kaepernick with Alex Smith, where he would come in real quick on jet sweeps and on single plays in the red zone, that sort of thing, just to get him up to speed with the actual speed of the game. But I worry that maybe sitting another year could be detrimental because he hasn't played football, but he's a young kid. So, I mean, I just feel like this team has no reason to rush right now at this point.
Oh, yeah. You think that maybe they can just use him like that Taysom Hill package where he goes into those run plays just like what they did with Kaepernick. Like the way you just said it, maybe they could use him in goal line plays where he could just scramble. But then they're going to say, oh, we're making him into a Taysom Hill. I don't think so, man. Yeah. I think we just want to make sure he gets the feel of the game first, Yeah, all I got to do is – yeah, this guy's he's a cool dude. He does like pick'ems and all that. He's a Giants fan, but he's a good follower of mine. Okay. But I was gonna say, okay, the most intriguing position to me is that third receiver spot, man. It's a question mark. Who's gonna win it? Who do you think's gonna win it, and why you think he's gonna win that third spot?
I look. My prediction is just going to be wrong because if you would have told me out of camp, out of OTAs, that Mohamed Sanu would be the leader in the clubhouse, and this organization would still be talking about Jalen Hurd being involved with all these other options, Travis Benjamin, Richie James, all of these people, it's hard to say. Who do I think? I really believe that if Jalen Hurd is healthy and ready to go, I think that that's who they're going to look to. Third round pick. You invested all that money in him. You've invested all that capital in him because third round picks, that's not a sixth rounder that you can just easily cut. Juwan Jennings is also flashing from last year. People have forgotten about him. But I think that they really, when you look at where they got Jalen Hurd where they got him at and what they intend to do with him, I think that he's probably the guy that they really want to take that third spot. River Craycraft is there. There's so many guys. And that's the only fear that I have with the wide receiver 3 position is that, yes, you have a lot of people, but you don't have a lot of people who have logged significant snaps in this league. That's why I've been kind of talking about Golden Tate, D.D. Westbrook, guys that have played in this league that they're not going to put this receiver group over the top. That's not the missing piece. I would just like to be more solid at that position and have guys who have actually had a track record in the NFL.
Yeah, like D.D. and Golden Tate they got experience. Sure, Golden Tate may not be the same player that he once was, but at least he can be a mentor and actually like lead the team by example. I mean, he does have a lot of experience. And D.D. Westbrook, when healthy, he's been a very capable receiver for the Jaguars. So, yeah, that's true. But Jalen Hurd to me is like we invested a lot in Jalen Hurd. And the thing with him is 2 injuries. It's just, this is it for him. He's got to prove it, or we might just have to cut our losses at this point. Because if you miss a third season, we invested so much money on you to be our starter, or at least play a significant role. He was supposed to be what Kendrick Bourne was supposed to be. And I think this is what we expect him to do this year. If he can stay healthy and play the way he did against the Cowboys in the preseason, then maybe we got ourselves something there. But I'm trying to see if we can get something out of Richie James, but it doesn't seem like the coach staff don't seem too high on him. They gave him very little opportunities, but I guess to some people, he had opportunities from other games before besides the Packers game, he did play his best game by far. But after those other games, there's been games where he's been dropping a few passes. Then there's been plays where he's kind of struggled a little bit in the return game a little bit, but he's been our most reliable return man from the time he was here. So it's like, I don't see no reason why we shouldn't put him on the slot spot. But what do you think, man? What do you think about it? Like Richie James?
So the thing with Hurd is you're absolutely right. You have to worry about the injuries, and you don't want to use that. But, the 49ers run 3 wide receiver sets the least in the league, I believe. Now, part of that is the fact that they've never had 3 wide receivers healthy at the same time that can really do things. And also, you have to count George Kittle as one of those pass catchers. So if it's a 3 wide receiver set, then it's a 3 pass catcher set with Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo when they're all healthy. When it comes to Richie James, it's just funny with the way Kyle Shanahan kind of brushes aside other people's mistakes and continues to go to them. And other guys, when they make mistakes, they seem to fall out of favor completely or just get ignored. What I mean by that is we all love Kendrick Bourne. We're going to miss him, I think, because people are underestimating his consistency. And when this team really needed him because Debo and Ayuk were hurt, he was the one who always played games and he made tough catches. The thing is he'll drop a pass. He goes right back out there. Someone else, Pettis drops a pass, gone. And he'll never come back, right? Like that's the type of thing. So it's weird. He picks and chooses who he wants to keep in the doghouse. Same thing. Killer Weatherspoon gives up a touchdown, gone to the bench, not coming back ever again. It's just strange. So with Richie James, it's a little bit perplexing because you see that he has that little bounce in his step and that he's great with the ball in his hands. He had almost 200 something yards against the Packers, I think, last year. But for some reason, they don't want to turn it over to him, and whether that's a lack of trust or his preparation, I can't speak to, but there's something going on there.
I mean, there's just been some games where he did flash some big numbers. I mean, I would have think, hey, he can be a nice third receiver we can put in the slot because usually slot receivers play exactly the same way as what Richie James would do. He would be shifty, he would be quick. You can even throw a short pass and he'll make it into a big gain. So that's what I don't understand about the coaching staff. Like, why are you not playing this kid a lot? I mean, last year, when it came to the COVID, he got his opportunity. You finally did something right, but now you're just underutilizing him once again. I think he's got the upside to break out if we can use him the right way.
Yeah, he's just got to get on the field. Yep.
So the toughest question is, who would be the third-string quarterback? That's a tough one, man. Like, you got Josh Rosen, then you got Nate Sudfeld. And
I think it's Sudfeld.
Yeah, because he's got the guaranteed money. So you cut him, it's pretty much like we're losing a little bit of that money. And Rosen is more like a camp body. I would want Rosen over Studfield. That's just my opinion. But since Studfield knows the offense and played exactly a similar offense with the Eagles, and you paid him this kind of guaranteed money, it's kind of hard to just cut him. I mean, because you got him some good amount of money. He'll be a backup. He'll be clipboarding. So it's not like he's going to play a significant role unless some Lord mercy that 2 of our quarterbacks get hurt. Then that's the possibility, But
the other thing is too the Scangarello connection. That's another reason. Rich is back, and he has a guy like you said has played in the offense. So I don't think he's going anywhere. I think that he's and if they stash anybody, it'll probably be Rosen on the practice squad. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think you got a good point there because Scangarello was there as a QB coach or what is it, a consultant or something
with the Eagles.
But it goes with familiarity with these players. I think Nathan Gary just came in the same way because he had connections, and I think it had to do with the special teams also. But I think I've seen a lot of Eagle fans say he's really god awful terrible as a linebacker. But I don't expect
in coverage especially. No, yeah, that's it. He would just be depth if he did make the team. But yeah, he was very bad last year. And I believe he had the highest rating allowed of all linebackers in coverage. It was pretty much people were picking on him whenever he was on the field. He's a converted safety. So you would think that somebody has a little bit more ball skills, but I think he's just a depth guy, even if he makes the roster.
Yeah, that's what I think because we got some good depth guys. We got some other good depth players. But what do you think for Tolinawa Hufanga? You think he's going to stay at safety, or you think down the road they're going to maybe convert him to linebacker? Because there's been discussions that maybe he could convert down the road to linebacker, or does he stay in his natural spot?
I think it's going to be a combination of both with the scheme and everything, and especially what you saw in the Super Bowl was you saw 3 safety sets where they're going to be placed all over the field. There is no real free safety, strong safety in this. You'll see Jaquaski Tart over in free safety. You'll see Jimmy Ward as strong safety, and you'll see them flip flop back and forth. I think it's a combination of both. You could see Hufanga playing in the box, or you could just see him in a too high look, which the 49ers love to run. So it's really just going to be positionless, almost like how it is on offense with Juszczyk, almost being a tight end, everything else, all those things. It's going to be the same thing with Hufanga. And unless he's pressed into duty and other guys get injured and he has to play a certain spot, I don't think you'll be able to define his role because he is flexible. He can take snaps at will linebacker. He can fall right back into being a safety, and those sort of things are valuable. And I think they intend to move him around and fool people and have him play a lot more in the box because I think that's where he's equipped to succeed.
Yeah, that's what I looked at when I watched him play at USC. I see him as more of in the box type of safety, but he could be a hybrid linebacker also. So that's one intriguing thing. Sure, he ran a 4.6. Maybe it was just at a bad time. Maybe he does play a lot faster than what he does. So, and he got trained by Troy Polamalu, which is pretty rare for a guy to get trained by somebody like Polamalu. Because from what I heard, he doesn't really train much athletes like that. It would have to come to somebody in mind that he admires. So he takes the time to train this kid. Yeah,
that's the Samoan connection.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's what's intriguing about it because I've never heard that Polamalu's ever trained any other athletes, but it came to that Samoan passion connection. He probably saw something in him, maybe not as good as him, but close enough, maybe decent enough,
Yeah.
But, yeah, and the thing I like about Tole Hufanga is his humbleness. Like he wants to prove himself. He said, "Hey, I want to be the All-Pro special teams player. I'm not worried about defense right now. I'll get to it when I can." He wants to catch on to that playbook. That's the best part about what I like about Hufanga. You don't get you don't get that kind of attitude. But the one that stands out to me is Aubrey Thomas, man. Like he ain't worried about the paycheck. He wants to let his plays do the talking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually working on an article that's coming out this week on him, and I'm definitely excited for him. If he is what the 49ers think he is, then it's a steal from where they got him. He's not a fast guy, but he's very good at sticking to people, if that makes any sense, in coverage. And he's great with the ball in his hands. He was a wide receiver in high school, had about 13, 14 touchdowns. And if you notice, not only the kick returns in Michigan, Jim Harbaugh even used him on jet sweeps and things like that. So it's exciting. So if they nail this Ambry Thomas pick, it's a little bit of a developmental project right now. That you don't want to toss him into the fire right now. But if they can tap into what they think they see, and I think they see, then it's a steal for where they got him. Because like I said, he's not fast, but he seems like he's very good with sticking with the receivers and sticking on their hip and not letting him get away. So, I'm in the process of still watching film on him and everything. But yeah, I should have an article about him out this week.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out, man, since I watch articles with Greg Cohen and you guys mostly. I even check out Jesse every now and then. So it's like huge shout out to him also. I mean, yeah, dude, like I think he's the most intriguing one. Like he kind of has that similar traits, kind of like Chris Colliver, which I know some fan base will like go way back and say, wasn't he kind of a little bit arrogant and cocky a little bit, but he did had some good plays. But once he left to another team, he just wasn't the same. It's probably had to do with the system. Usually when you fit in the right system, you become as good as you are. Sometimes it depends on how your skill set fits this kind of defense. But I think for Aubrey Thomas, he is worth the risk because you can see what this kid can do down the road. He's very aggressive. He doesn't seem to back out of a 101. And the thing about this one other kid is, Domador Lenore? Seems intriguing too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see him.
Good. You got it. Good.
No, you go, man. Like that.
No. I wasn't trying to cut you off. I was just going to say that he kind of profiled right away as a K'Wan Williams replacement. I think that's what they thought he was going to be playing, is only in the slot, but he looked really good on the outside in that one clip that unfortunately the 49ers got dinged for. But it's interesting. The 49ers don't really address cornerback high up, but they did twice in this draft. So I think it's interesting to see how they get these guys to come along because, for me, cornerback depth is going to be the thing that scares me the most with this team. Love Jason Verrett. Was Jason Verrett's last year him turning the corner, or was that just the 1 year that he really wasn't injured, because he's been injured every year that he's been in the league? I hope that it's not that. And he seems to be over it. So that's great. But one injury to him, you're looking at Mosley starting, and then you're looking at throwing one of these kids into the fire, or, who else is on here? Webster and Harris.
Johnson.
Yeah, and Dante Johnson, who probably gets snaps as well too. So, it gets a little hairy after that. It's not that those are like awful players. Again, you just want stability, and you want to be able to know that someone behind them is solid and they can be thrown into the fire, and you don't really have to worry about them lacking experience.
Yeah, you want the guy to get the system good. I mean, sure, Aubrey Thomas will get his opportunities at this point, and Amador Lenore will at least get a chance to fill those roles when it comes to the injuries. I think he's going to be exactly what we expect. He's going to have to take over K'Wan Williams' spot, and that's been his natural spot is the nickel. Watching him play at Oregon, I think he played mostly outside and the nickel. So he played a little bit of everything at Oregon. So he's got the versatility. Yeah, sure. We got a fine for that because of the rookie rule, I guess. Under the rookie of the policy or something, they're not supposed to engage contact or something like that. And I guess that video that was thrown in viral, bro, I was impressed for the time being, but then I find out it's a fine. Oh my god.
And well, it was a good rep. Yeah, it was a good rep. It is what it is. The kid learned a lesson. He was obviously very excited because he sent that out, and why shouldn't he? It was a great rep. Austin Watkins is a great receiver. I had the pleasure of being able to see him in Mobile when we were at the Senior Bowl, and he impressed and jumped out right away. So very surprised that he didn't go drafted, although the 49ers did the right thing and signed him, I believe. But it was a good rep. You can't get mad at the kid for his enthusiasm. He took it down. I'm sure they had a talk with him, and they knew it was coming. So it happens. It happens. And the thing is for people who were upset, it was 1 week of rookie developmental classes, meaning how do you act now that you have money? Should you be going out late at night? Stuff like that. It wasn't really – I mean, of course, they probably will be talking football stuff, so I had to have them around the building. But realistically, what they lost was more acclimating rookies to the NFL lifestyle. So it wasn't like it was practices, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It's more, I guess, the way they're learning this rookie steps and all that. Like, most of them have to follow this league rules first, and then they have to earn their stripes, like, how some players are. So – the one player that may have a better chance to start as a rookie is more than likely Aaron Banks. I think Aaron Banks is the more guy that's going to be a lock-in starter. Maybe Trey Sermon if he beats out the running back. That's another possibility. But as far as the other positions, I don't see no sure starter after that because I only see like maybe 2 or 3 guys who can pretty much be the starters either by season opener or later in the season. Like maybe some injuries will play into factor, and then you'll see them play some significant roles. But I only just see maybe about 2 or 3 starters in season opener, maybe. Like Aaron Banks, I'm pretty sure he's a lock-in starter. There's no way you're gonna have Brunskill or whoever, man. Like you got other guys who play the other role too. I mean, but then the injuries, bro. Like I was looking at Brunskill being as the guy also, and then you had Compton also. See, there's another guy, Compton, who's actually on our roster. And you would think, nah. And then they got McKivitz also. No, I'm going Aaron Banks on this one.
Yeah, again, you look at what they invested in the draft pick. They took Aaron Banks with a second-round pick. Those guys, when you're an offensive lineman, you don't need to learn. You don't need to sit. You need to get in there and play. So he's going to start. And what makes me excited about it is, or at least it did, it just before the Justin School injury, was I thought the best thing for Daniel Brunskill would be for him to just focus in on taking straight center snaps and getting that down, because we would have the best backup situation for centers in the game probably, because he was very serviceable last year. But you have to remember, he's flipping and he's bouncing around from spot to spot. And even if it is right next to you, it's a completely different thing, completely different responsibilities, completely different, techniques. All those things are different. So if he's able to lock in behind Alex Mack, if Alex Mack is a one and done year thing because he is a little bit older, now you have a cheap starting center who has taken all those reps and has played well. So, the Aaron Banks thing, I agree with you 100%. I believe he starts. What really has me excited is that Daniel Brunskill can focus in on center. And if he can, then the 49ers are in good shape because the depth kind of shapes out after that.
Yeah, because I don't see no way that they're going to play Tom Compton unless it's favoritism with Shanahan, which Shanahan had him played in Washington before.
It's favoritism that he's even on the roster. That's it. I don't think they ever want to play Tom Compton, but that's clearly one of Kyle's guys, and that's what I'm talking about. He brought back. I couldn't believe it. Like, for what? But, the other thing that you talked about was Trey Sermon. So with Trey Sermon, I mean, I have no inside knowledge. This is what I would like to see from the running back room. You get Trey Sermon to be in that Tevin Coleman role that he had in 2019, early downs, and you start to get Mostert into an efficient 8 to 10 to 12 touch role again, where he's coming in when the defense is gassed and he's got his fresh legs and Kyle knows where to attack. I don't really want Mostert out there 15, 18 touches a game unless he's ripping them off each one. It's just the injury thing. So Trey Sermon could be that battering ram, soften up the defense, figure out where it is that they can attack, and then boom, you can go back to those efficient touches for Mostert, with those explosive plays where, we all saw him excel in 2019. So I in a world, I do see Trey Sermon starting, right? But remember, starting just means you're the first running back out there. You may not even take the most snaps. It all depends on how the game goes, and Shanahan loves the hot hand. But I would love to see Raheem Mostert scale back his touches to be more efficient. 10, 12, maybe 14, and then, if he's doing it at 6 yards a clip, then you can't really argue with that.
Yeah, I do see them actually doing more cautious with Mostert. I mean, I would be okay with maybe 10 touches a game for him just to be smart on it. Maybe a couple backfield passes here and there. And then you just give Trey Sermon maybe about 12 touches or so. And then build up the rhythm and then see who's the hotter hand and go to the next guy, whatever works. Keep it fresh, keep the players fresh. But I think if whoever's the hot hand, whether it's Mostert or not, they're probably just going to have to go with him like 12 more carries. And that's not the right way to go because he gets hurt a lot. But if you want to go with somebody who's capable of taking a lot of the loads, you got to go with Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon has the ability to do everything. I mean, he's had less wear tear. Usually those running backs in college that haven't been used a lot end up being pretty good in the NFL. I mean, a lot of these running backs who've been overused in college eventually become wear and tear because they've been used a lot in contact. So, you had a lot of running backs like Monte Ball who had, so many damn touches in college, had 5,000 million yards, whatever, in Wisconsin. And he just wasn't the same back when he came to the NFL with the Broncos. So, or I don't know what team it was, but yeah, it just doesn't translate well. Yeah. Usually those don't translate well because they usually get wear and tear.
Yeah, it's a good point. And then you have to remember too, the best thing so there's two ways to look at it. You can say Raheem Mostert's in a contract year. Let's beat the brakes off him this year because he's not coming back next year, or we're not going to sign him. Or, the same thing with Trey Sermon. You have Trey Sermon on the rookie deal for 4 years, and usually the way the NFL works, I know that more guys are getting paid than ever, but usually with that rookie wage scale, especially with running back, and the position has been a little bit devalued at this point. You let Trey Sermon take all the hits and let him go ahead because you may not bring him back for a second contract. It's very rare that you have guys like Dalvin Cook who get another deal, or Alvin Kamara who get another deal, or Derrick Henry. A lot of other teams, they're just drafting guys, using them up for the 4 years, either picking up their 5th-year option and not signing them again, or just not taking the 5th-year option depending on where you drafted them. So there's a argument to be made for both of them actually taking more punishment because of what is down the line for them as far as their contracts go.
Yeah. Then you got Jeff Wilson, who's just came at a bad time, and he was already going to be on a contract year. Now he's going to miss significant time. And then you got Wayne Goldman, who's like an insurance policy. He might just be the third back we can use and switch every now and then try to get some touches. He's not that bad. He's not a slouch.
He's very solid. No, he's very solid.
Very good.
Me being here in New Jersey, so close to the Giants, got a chance to watch him a lot. I know exactly what he brings. He brings nothing that's flashy, but he runs well between the tackles. And I think that people don't understand how good of a pass catcher he is, and he's really good with moves. I mean, he tore up the Seahawks last year in place of Saquon Barkley. So, yeah, there's a lot of good things to have about Wayne Gallman. His money's not guaranteed, but I think the Jeff Wilson injury basically put his name in stone to make this roster. So it's a good problem to have right now.
Yeah, that's the best part. And then we got this Elijah Mitchell, too, who can be another good problem. I mean, I see a lot of these flashy plays, and I'm thinking, man, this might be another Raheem Mostert. Wow,
that's the thing, too. He almost profiles just like that. But I think that, he's not exactly like that. I think that he can actually catch passes better than Mostert, but I think that he's that sort of speed guy. So it's kind of funny you mentioned that, right? Mostert's in a contract year. Jeff Wilson's in a contract year. Okay, you draft Trey Sermon, who profiles as a 3-down back or a workhorse, and you draft Elijah Mitchell, who profiles more like the speed hitter. seems like the 49ers were kind of telling you what they thought about going forward and making sure that they have those same positions filled with the same sort of skill sets.
Yeah, they always want to go cheaper and invest that talent, and then maybe in the long haul it'll pay off. Usually they don't expect big dollars, but some guys like Mostert, he might even test the market next year and get some big contract for a team who desperately needs a running back, but probably won't know how to use him right. So that could be and then you got Jeff Wilson, who can be a very capable, serviceable running back that you can start if you put him in the right system. I think he's not that bad. Look at Matt Breida. When you give him opportunities, he did seem like a good back, but maybe in the better system, he would excel.
Fell out of favor with Shanahan. Fumbled the ball twice, and that was it. Never saw him again. I'm telling you, it's so weird. He picks and chooses. Like, you make one mistake and you're banished. You make 10 mistakes and it's nothing. It's like, okay, man, get back out there. You're my guy. It's strange. I love Coach, but it's always a head scratcher.
Yeah, he kept giving Trent Taylor too many chances. Like, come on, man.
Thank you.
Like, how many chances did he get Trent Taylor? Like, dude, that's crazy. And then you give River Craycraft. What? You let this guy play over Richie James after that? Oh man, I guess he just has his favorites. Maybe there's something behind the scenes that we're not aware of. Maybe there's just that popularity or something with them.
That's definitely it. It's just how he handles his players. It's like some guys he has all the patience in the world for, some guys he has no patience for. So you don't know what they're working on in practice, whether they're showing things in practice, So I mean, it's hard to speculate, but it's clear that when you get in Kyle's doghouse, the only person to actually dig his way out was like a Killer Weatherspoon last year at the end of the season. He actually played really well. He was the only person who actually got out of Kyle's doghouse and played well. And then he talked about never wanting to come back there. So obviously he didn't like the way he was treated. So
yeah, no harsh feelings with him. I get that point. I mean, if you were just not getting your opportunities and you're losing, and the coach lost confidence in you, that's kind of like a slap in the face in some players' perspective. I mean, yeah, Kyle Shanahan does have his favorites and he does have his criticism on players, but I'd be straight up honest. I don't think he's much of a Jimmy Garoppolo guy. I don't think he is. He seems to be more too critical on him.
I think Kyle's a Kyle guy, right? And I love Coach, but I think that if he can push the focus on someone else, he will. Like sort of like right after the Super Bowl. Oh, well, the throws were there. What? Like no sort of, hey, it took all of us to do this. We all lost this game. I thought Jimmy played really well. Obviously, tough sequence down the stretch. None of that, So I almost feel like when things go bad, instead of people pointing fingers at him, people already assume that he's they know he's a genius. They know that he has this golden boy aura around him. But if he finds a way to deflect that to other people, it goes two ways. Players really like his honesty, but franchise quarterback, you probably can't like that honesty. You would kind of want your coach to say a little bit more in your defense right there after you lost the biggest game of your life.
Yeah, that's the only debate on him is staying healthy, and actually winning the big game was his big question mark now, because, I mean, he did play the full season healthy and he was able to go all the way to the Super Bowl, but he didn't have to do too much in the playoffs. He had it pretty easy with Mostert being the hot hand and being the guy that just ran wild throughout the playoffs. And you had the opportunity to throw some more passes in the Super Bowl. What really kind of hurted Kyle Shanahan, it was, why did you stop doing what you were doing? It was working. It was working perfectly.
It's a lot, honestly. I had a chance to finally sit down and look at the fourth quarter, finally, without, crying or anything like that, just straight up analytics. But it was everybody. It was literally everybody. It was Kyle. It was Jimmy. It was Debo. It was Bourne. It was Staley. It was Garland. It was Lakin. It took the entire team to blow that fourth quarter. And I could point. I'm kind of on the fence, but I think I want to do it. I just don't want to reopen any wounds or anything like that. But I'm on the fence with like doing another video, like a straight video of me just showing where one play I could say is Jimmy Garoppolo, and there's another play where Jimmy Garoppolo threw an incompletion that I wouldn't throw that at him. I would throw that at the horrible pass blocking and people missing guys. And maybe the next play is about Kyle not running the ball again. On first down, he's getting 7. And then on second down, you're in a good spot and you call a pass. And now, either he gets a sack or the ball gets not thrown at the right time. And now you're in third down. And now after that, you punt it. So it's a lot. It's just so much, honestly, that I think that it's unfair to just say it was completely Jimmy Garoppolo's fault. It took everybody Debo and Kendrick Bourne running the wrong routes into the same place. So Jimmy Garoppolo looks, and they're both standing in the same place, bringing defenders to it. So you can't throw. Now you turn. By the time you turn, Chris Jones is already on you, and you're getting hit. So it's a lot, and everybody deserves their share of the blame in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, the offensive line was a blame. I mean, sure, Debo and Kendrick ran routes. It seems to me Kendrick always seems to be more of a dancer, but he doesn't really like focus too much on his routes like he did before. I mean, I think he's starting to craft his game a little bit, and hopefully he does well in New England. But I just think that that next third receiver will have to learn his routes better and be more consistent.
I think that's not really indicative of him as a whole. I just think that, he made a mistake, but he just happened to make a mistake at the wrong moment. That's it. It was a big moment to make a mistake. So I don't know if I'm not going to say anything about his preparation. That just slipped his mind. Maybe the play call didn't come out the right way. I don't know, and I won't speculate. I don't like, killing players for things like that.
Oh, no. Like, the way he plays the game, he can separate, even though he's not that quick, but he does have the energy that you can respect. I mean, you can't just put the blame on him, all of it. I mean, there's certain plays that could have been, I don't want to say it's the officials too with that Kittle call, but still, you kind of look at it and say, how is that PI?
Yeah, that one hurt. That was Jimmy's best throw of the entire playoffs, and it didn't even count. It was a dime. It was a beauty shot, and that would have been big for them to get points. And then it kind of shows you right after that, Kyle folded up. He was like, all right, yeah, no more. We're not moving the ball at all. Like, we're just going to run it out and we're going to the half. It's strange. It's strange because you see the pattern happen throughout the playoffs. In a divisional game, he throws the interception. Then he almost throws another one to an underneath linebacker. And I feel like Kyle was like, that's it. No more. We're just running the ball. No more. We're done with that. And then with the Packers game, I don't necessarily believe that it was him completely taking the ball out of Jimmy's hands. I really think that he just understood how to kick Mike Pettine's ass so badly. Remember, he was his head coach in Cleveland. I think he really wanted to prove a point, like, I'm going to run the ball every single play, and there's nothing you can do about it at all, and we are going to dominate you in this entire game. So, yeah, was it maybe keeping the ball out of Jimmy's hands? Yeah, maybe, but I feel like the Packers game was more him making a statement against Mike Pettin, and then obviously we know what happened in the Super Bowl. So,
yeah, I think that was more like payback, and then pretty much telling his predecessor, the one that he had under his wings also as the head coach of the Packers, also, like, he was the one that mentored him. Yeah,
LaFleur. Yeah, you gotta get a noogie.
Yeah, you get a guy who picked up your jock straps and pretty much picked up your brain a little bit. But I mean, going into this season, I'm just hoping less injuries and not too much going into the season. But it's going to happen. At least we have better depth. Hopefully, the next guy could step in and be a big factor into the season. But there's no set in stones that we're going all the way. We just gotta get to the playoffs first. That's the main goal.
That should always be the goal. That should always be the goal. After that, once you make the playoffs, teams are hurting, circumstances change, play calls aren't working. You know way more. You have all the data. That's when it's time to go get it. All you have to be in it to win it. It should always be the goal to make the playoffs, always. And then after that, you gotta take care of business.
Yeah, the goal is get to the playoffs first and let the rest take care of itself. Like one game at a time, one play at a time. So it determines the season. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of very intriguing that we just debating something more interesting. But okay, let's get to when do you think that Fred Warner's going to get his contract, or you think it's going to have to wait till next season?
No, it'll happen this year. I think they're waiting to see what happens with Darius Leonard. He's really smart because they're in a tier similar to that top 3, top 4 young guy linebacker in the league. If it's not Fred Warner that you say is the best linebacker in the world, someone would say Darius Leonard. I'm not here to disagree with that, but I'm not going to kill somebody for that take. So I think he has to make sure that he sees that so he can get proper value, because Darius Leonard is somebody who's in his tier, his age bracket, same sort of deal where, the team kind of wants to lock him up for a very long time. So Fred's got to see that play out first. And I don't think that he's too worried about it at all. Actually, I don't think 49er fans should be worried about it either.
I think it'll get done either way. I mean, I think it's going to come down to the value. Like, as soon as Leonard gets a contract, I think it's going to change up the market value to like the 18 millions or a little more than what they're getting, maybe the 20 millions. But I don't think we're going to do that. I think Fred Warner will take something reasonable. I mean, it could have been the other way around for Kittle. Kittle could have asked for 20 million, but he took 15. So that's a team player.
The annual stuff it can be moved around, so you can always push money down the line, so it's not exactly that hit. And they have, Parag has a great way of doing all that. So just because Kittle may have taken less annually doesn't mean that he's not making as much over the years. So it's the contract thing. I'll tell you this, I'm not very, very well versed in them, how those roster bonuses kick in, when certain things are supposed to be done. There's people that are really great with stuff like that. That's just one of the things that eludes me right now. Like I'm really not good with understanding contracts or anything like that. I really haven't deep dived into any of that, actually.
Yeah, that's the tricky part about these contracts. They're not always going to get the big money. Like the Trent Williams contract, it can be avoidable after his third year or something like that. And then his guaranteed money, it can depend on how he performs too. So even though we did pay him a lot of money, you got to look at the contract details of it, and it's not exactly what they think it is. It's kind of like a win-win for both sides, actually.
Yep, that's why you put in the fine print, and it gives you all those outs, and guys got to bet on themselves. They know all that stuff going into it, but it's really about the signing bonus, what you get up front, because that's not something that they can take away. And then what are your qualifiers for each year? What do you have to hit to get certain numbers? What do you have to hit to make the most money? Some guys have qualifiers for All-Pro, Pro Bowl. If they do this and this, they get more money. So all that stuff is included, and guys like Trent can reach those things. So I'm sure those things are in his contract.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a surprising move that we did pay him the top dollars, but it's not exactly like the way the detail says it. But and then you get some guys like Jason Verrett betting himself again, even though he should have took a mega contract. I mean, for a guy like him coming off of injuries, I could have just went for the big money. I mean, you're at the end of your career, but hey, you're willing to take another bet to prove yourself. Maybe this is the year he proves himself again, and then maybe we give him a multi-year contract extension or something, and maybe he sticks around and we get some solid depth with guys like Aubrey Thomas who will be ready at some point. And then Lenore will probably be the guy that might take over Quan Williams if we don't retain him next year, but that's another time to discuss. I mean, I think it can play a factor. Like you get some guys who want to bet themselves, and that's interesting. That's intriguing. Mostert could have asked for a bigger contract, but he's betting himself for this year, so he's going to have to prove it this year.
Yeah, and when Mostert held out, he just wanted the same amount of money that Tevin Coleman made, guaranteed. That was really it. And Jason Verrett's taking a shot on himself. It seems like he's very confident. That's good, because if he plays well, he can be an all-pro, and that is going to be heavily sought after. So I see the vision. Same thing with Jaquiski Tart. Bet on himself. Didn't really see the offers that he was really looking for. So if he's able to stay on the field longer, I believe that he's going to make his first Pro Bowl if he can play most of the season, because I do believe in him a lot. And he's another one who is taking a one-year deal to prove himself and then reset his market and get back out there, hit free agency for the second time, because he did it technically this year.
Yeah, that's the thing that stands out. Like, I'm surprised he even came back. I thought a team would have took a chance on him, but maybe they looked at his injuries and thinking, we ain't going to touch him.
Well, you got to remember, too, culture's big. Jason Verrett said he loved being there. He loved I can't believe he said it. It's almost, I guess, ironic, but it's funny that he said that he loved the rehab center there and all the other stuff that they had. And with Tart, I just feel like when it got down to how he's going to be utilized this year with DeMeco Ryans, I think that and the culture, he is the longest tenured, him and Jimmy Ward, longest tenured 49ers right now, still a holdover from the Balky era. So it's some, like, he loves it there, and that's the thing, and he loves his players, and he loves the environment, and I think that had a lot to do with it, on top of being able to play somewhere, bet on yourself for 1 year in a place that you're familiar, and they may accentuate your skill set to help you build your market next year as well too. So I think it's a bunch of those factors.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not a bad thing, but some analysts or some people that do that stuff, they're thinking, man, why would they do that again when they have the opportunity? But not all players are greedy. They just want to prove themselves. That's the best thing about them. Some players forget where they come from. They want to bet themselves. That's the best part you can do, and then you can set your market value. It might even set the standard. So sometimes taking that 1 year prove it deal can actually get you to be the top guy in the free agent market, and they'll want to sign you at that point. But Jaquiski Tart will be the most intriguing one. Next year, it can be a question mark whether we bring it back or we go with some other guys we got. So that would be the one to discuss.
Yep. I think that he's just gonna, like you said, he's just betting on himself. He understands what he's gonna be asked to do here. He's very comfortable. He's very smart. One of the smartest guys on the team. Just because he's understated, I don't think that he gets the credit that he deserves. And honestly, he gets a lot for always, somehow being injured, and he knows that. So, but I believe that if he's able to play 14, 15, 16, even 17 games this year, he'll be in line for his first Pro Bowl nod, because I just think that they're going to use him in different ways and have him have much more of an impact on the game.
Yeah, because he plays like he's like more of the kind of hybrid safety who can play in the box. He can play a little bit of linebacker on situation downs. I mean,
Yep.
he's a sure tackler too. Like he's not like as bad as some of the other players we got, but Dre Greenlaw is elevating himself. He's a good tackler. Like when it comes to the fundamentals, like you look at another guy like that can be the more breakout player. Dre Greenlaw, man, this guy came in the 5th round. Who would have thought this kid from Ruthless?
Converted safety, it seems like that's the wave now, is that you really want guys who can hit like safeties but play like linebackers, and you convert them over, or you want them to play like a linebacker and be able to cover like a safety. So, that's one of the things that Dre Greenlaw does really well, is his coverage as well too. So, I mean, if he takes another step this year, then it would be obviously advantageous to the defense. But yeah, man, Dre Greenlaw is absolutely an exciting prospect for next year.
Yeah, he could be. And then because, I mean, when it comes to the plays, he does tackle the proper way. He plays at the right time. It seems to me when he plays against Seattle, he seems to play his best game. So it's like right place, right time for him. But Fred Warner is actually the guy that people want to build their defense around. Like you want a guy who can cover. You want a guy who can play sideline to sideline and make the plays. Sure, you got a guy like Darius Leonard, who's another one too. He's just another linebacker like them. I mean, Bobby Wagner is one of the best linebackers out there, but at some point, I think it's going to come down to Fred Warner and Darius Leonard as those top linebackers.
And Levante David's out there as well too. Devin White. There's going to be a lot of guys. I mean, honestly, it's a loaded, and it's still, there's still an argument to be made that it's Bobby Wagner, but again, I'm not going to kill anybody for picking one of the same guys that's in this tier. They're all in the same tier, and that's how they're all discussed. So, I believe it's Fred. And if somebody doesn't and they want to choose one of these other guys, that's fine, because they're all great players. And that's the beauty of how many good young players are in this league right now.
Yeah, and people forget Eric Kendricks, also another good linebacker. I think he's one of the better ones out there too. Like he doesn't get talked about much when it comes to those other top linebackers. I mean, I seen this guy play before, because I used to play against his high school team, and his brother was one of the good ones I played against. And then his brother was just like a sophomore playing with the varsity too. So this guy was really, Eric Kendricks. This dude was ahead of the curve. Like, yeah, dude. And then he went to UCLA. He was a top linebacker there too. I was kind of like shaking my head when we were just one pick away from getting this guy. But this guy's good, dude. He's a beast. But
yeah, he's good.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the pass rushers? Who do you think is going to be the guy that has to step up this year?
I mean, if they get anything out of D Ford, it's a win. I'm talking about like even one snap, anything like that. It's very hard to expect anything from him or Jalen Hurd. You can't get your expectations up, but if you do get something from them, they're the ultimate X factors on both sides of the ball for obvious reasons. They're almost the same exact thing, where they're just injuries. It's always been injuries. With pass rush, you got to hope that Bosa is somewhere near 2019. I would say that he's going to be fine, based on the way ACLs heal now and all the things that they have to get by that. So I think he'd be fine. But I'm really looking at Eric Armstead and Ibukam. Ibukam is really a wild card as well too. Looks like he profiles like a guy who can rush the passer, but he can also drop into coverage. So I'm interested to see how DeMeco Ryans utilizes him, what packages. So, if Javon Kinlaw can get those one-on-one matchups, because on the outside you've got to stop Bosa and Ford or Bosa and Armstead, and you're paying more attention to them, then Javon Kinlaw could be somebody who reaps the benefits of all the sacks, because quarterbacks aren't going to move left or move right. They're going to have to step up, which is where Javon Kinlaw is right going to be. So, I think that it's going to be all about rotation. Kevin Givens, DJ Jones are still going to be there. They're still going to be used. Arden Key now, I believe, is somebody that Mo Hurst. There's a lot of good, they're going to do this the way that Kasarik usually does this, where it's just a rotation of bodies keeping everybody safe, but it has to be anchored by Nick Bosa and either Eric Armstead or D Ford or someone else on the other side.
Yeah, that's what I think it's going to happen. It's going to be some good depth pieces. I mean, I think Arden Key might be the wild card also, but then Jordan Willis is like he got suspension, so that might. But I think he was improving when he came to us. Like when we got him from the Jets off that trade, he looked like he was improving as a pass rusher. Then he missed some time with some, I guess, the COVID, but he was on a roll. Like Jordan Willis
Yeah,
was on a roll, and then you got this
it's clear.
Ebicon who.
It's Ibukam. It's clear that they like guys who have great measurables, like Willis, like Ibukam. And then if they're lacking in other things, they think they can tweak that, but they'd rather have the measurables to work with as the first canvas, like for them to be able to turn them into whatever they want. So that's a good call on Jordan Willis, honestly.
Yeah, because he's got that speed too. He may not be like as talented as those other edge rushers, but you see guys like Von Miller who has those measurables, but has that speed too. But when I look at Ebicom, yeah, people don't want to compare players to players, but the way his body type is built, I think he's got that little similar traits, kind of like a Von Miller, but he's reaching a little bit of a ceiling. The ceiling, like he's reaching his potential. Like the Rams use him more as a coverage linebacker than they did as an edge rusher. He was more like a pass rusher coming out of Eastern Washington. He has the traits. I think with proper coaching, this guy can be like a really good player, and we might just move on from D Ford if this guy pans out.
I think that's kind of what they are hoping to happen. It's not something you could predict, or so, because I think people forget how impactful D Ford was. It's just I think that you're right on that. Where they in a perfect world would love to replace D Ford with Ebukam, but you got to see it happen before you can do that.
Yep, that's the facts right there. But when you saw a little bit of his sample size, you could just see the ceiling, the potential, like
Absolutely.
it's there. So yeah, so like as far as all the positions, I think we marked them all down. I don't know, tight end. We didn't get to that part, but we already know when it comes down to it, Kittle's the best for sure. But what do you see out of the rest of the tight end groups that stands out to you?
So Dwelly will be the other pass catcher, depending on how long they use him or how much they use him. That's something completely different. With the signing of, what's the kid's name? Michael Pruitt, and they still have Charlie Warner on the roster as well too. So I think that those two guys kind of slot in as your blocking linebackers. And what I mean by that is Levine Toilolo was on this roster for a long time because they like to have those bunch sets where it's a bunch of tight ends basically parading around as linemen to get into heavy sets and to try to deke the offense. So the defense. I think that Warner and Pruitt are those two run blockers, pass blockers, whatever, and Kittle and Dwelly will see the lion's share of the passing targets from the tight ends.
Yeah, that would be the more intriguing spot. I mean, I think Michael Pruitt's more like a blocker too, but he's
That's what I'm saying.
He's very athletic.
No, he is, and the Titans used him to, because they had Jonnu Smith. So Jonnu Smith's profiling as a pass catcher, but they used him in a way where it's like Pruitt's got engaged with a guy and he just tosses him out and he just turns, because nobody's expecting that, and they kind of use him in sneaky ways. I could see Kyle Shanahan using him the same way.
I think Michael Pruitt might be the guy who might even make the roster, and it might just come down to Warner and Warner. And then they got that Josh Patterson, which is the son of the coach of what's his name, Doug Patterson.
Yeah,
like we got him on the roster as an undrafted free agent, but I don't know what's intriguing about him. But we'll wait and see. I know Dwelly's improved throughout the seasons since he was an undrafted free agent. Like he came a long way, so He's not as fast. He's not flashy, but he does get the job done. Like he can block solidly. He can be a mismatch, even though he doesn't run fast, but he can make the plays.
Yeah, he needs to get more opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, appreciate you coming in to the stream, man. But definitely need to check you out more often, man. I've been seeing your streams every now and then. Like you be popping a lot of good questions, a lot of good debates and all that. I see you and Jess, Last Second Sports. You guys debate, Grant Cohen, Jack Hammer, and the rest of the guys. I mean, you guys put on some good debates on it. Like I'm kind of more intrigued, and I'm trying to pick your guys' brains. Say, you guys got some good solid points right there. I agree on certain stuff that you said the other day with quite a few other people. I've seen you on streams. I mean, I seen you on Niner Sickness stream the other day, and then you were on the other stream with you're always with Grant Cohen. I always see what you got to say. I'm like saying, man, I must admit that you're just like You're like the East Coast version of Grant Cohen in a certain way. Like you guys are kind of like, it's like you guys are brothers.
I appreciate that, man. And yeah, I mean, if I could give any advice to anybody, is just continue to put yourself out there, work on your craft. The more and more that you do it, the speaking will come. I think the shock of seeing yourself on the screen first or hearing your voice is a little bit harder to overcome than people believe. But once you get confident, you start to get confident in your takes, and you start to put in the work. It'll all come to anybody who's working. So I mean, anybody who's in any way doing anything the right way, is because they're working. Nobody's getting it with luck. So the best way I could say is just continue doing what you're doing, bro. And I appreciate all those kind words about watching the streams and everything. That's awesome. And again, a lot of credit to Grant, because he's put me on his platform, and he's helped me grow my channel to where it is now too. So he's very good at what he does, because it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than boring. And I'm not saying Grant's ridiculous, but you got to be entertaining. And that portion is the part that a lot of people don't grasp.
Yeah, and he knows how to get people's attention good. That's the best part about Grant Cohen. Like, I'll be straight up honest about it. Like, when I first heard of his name, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then I started seeing more of what he said about Jed York. It just changed my mind about him. I started, like, watching more articles, looked into it. I mean, the time that he did say something about Jed York, that was the same exact vision I thought of Jed York. And then watched a lot of his videos, and I just started having less judgment on him. I said, man, he's a cool dude. He seems good. And then the time I went on his stream, he was nice enough to apologize when I didn't even say nothing about what I did to him or nothing. And he just said, oh, I'm sorry. I know you were coming on my stream one time, and I just left out of the blue. And he says, then he just was nice enough to go to my stream also. So he kind of like proved that he can be a very kind guy. People just don't like his personality. That's the only difference.
That's the difference. You got to separate the takes from the person. Grant's a great guy, and somebody that I consider a friend. So,
yeah, he's a great dude. So I just have the most respect for what he does. I mean, he's giving everybody a platform, like you, for example. He's giving Last Second Jess a platform. I mean, Jackheimer's getting a platform. I mean, a lot of you guys, like newer up and comers, like that Shardu guy, he's getting another platform. They're building platforms off. If you can get a platform off of Grant Cohen, then you're gonna hit off, because this guy knows how to build good content. So yeah,
absolutely.
All right, man. So maybe in the near future, when we got the free time, let me know. We can link in, or I can go on your stream. Doesn't matter to me, as long as we represent that red and gold.
Yes, sir. I mean, absolutely. We're getting closer to the season, so as of right now, I'm trying to just put in some of the work, chill out for a little bit, because it's about to get crazy. We're going to be out there for camp, and we're going to be traveling to games. So it's going to get a little crazy this season, but I can't wait, honestly, and it's closer than ever.
Yeah, man. It's going to be interesting. I'm just eager for this season. I'm wondering if we're going to finally reach our potential and at least get to the playoffs this time, but it's just got to get to the playoffs first to even talk about Super Bowl. Most fan base, they always talk about Super Bowl, like the Cowboy fans. Don't talk about it. Wait until you make the playoffs.
I mean, what happens when they make it. So,
if you make the playoffs, then that's something to talk about. But when it comes to these fan base, man, come on. If you're a Cowboys fan, why are you talking Super Bowl when you're not even talking playoffs first? That's one thing I don't understand. Like, I'd rather be more of a humble person,
right,
than be
just be realistic.
Yeah, and I'm being realistic when it comes to my team. I'm not expecting Super Bowl year in and year out. Like, if we can get to the playoffs, then one game at a time, and if it takes care of itself. But in 2019, I thought, hey, we'll win 10 games if at best, But then I like that they proved me wrong, because I'm trying to stay realistic on it. I'm not trying to be like these homers and be like, oh, we can get to the Super Bowl this year. Nah, man, I want to keep it 100%. Like, I don't want to lose my hope over stuff. Like, I don't want it to break my heart if I expect this season,
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So anybody else, man? Appreciate every one of y'all. And Jason Aponte, man, he's one hell of a good dude on his live stream, man. If you guys haven't subscribed his channel, go check him out. He goes under the name Jason Aponte, or check him out on Grant Cohen's live stream. I mean, this guy has good inside analysts on his debates. Like, he's somebody I can relate to when it comes to something with the opinions, I like his kind of intake more, even though Grant Cohen can mix up here and there.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thanks for the kind words. And yeah, man, thanks for having me on, and we'll do this again.
All right, man, for sure, man. All right, man. So let's just put our final talks, and yeah, man. Everybody else, me and Jason Aponte are out. Go Niners. All right, peace. All right, so we're out. And you guys take care, man. Jason Aponte, huge shout out to you. I'm gonna get to that 1 hour mark, and then that's it for today. So as far as everybody else, man, enjoy the stream, and I'm gonna turn this off in a bit. And this was a great debate. So anybody else who hasn't checked out his channel, go subscribe Jason Aponte, and go check out Greg Cohen. If you are a diehard Niners fan and you're not familiar with their channel, then I don't know who you guys are. But if you guys want to check it out, go check it out. But CG Ruthless Sports is out, and go Niners. Peace.